Hi guys, Ray here from City Fan TV, and I'm joined by Rob today. How you doing, Rob?
Hi, Ray. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad, not too bad. You know, two teams at the top of the table. We should be quite
Yeah.
happy with our football at the moment. Obviously, we're here to have a chat about West Ham versus Man City, top of the table clash. But before we go into that, I'm just going to give Rob a chance to talk about his channel, which I did watch one of the videos yesterday. It's fantastic. I spent, I think it was about 20 minutes just watching and listening to the to the old stuff. So, why don't you tell everybody about what you do, Rob?
Okay. Yeah. Well, essentially, I mean, my sort of relationship with West Ham and the history of it is that I started writing. I started writing books back in the 90s. I had 4 books published about West Ham, and that kind of dried up, and I felt that I still wanted to sort of put stuff out there. So I created a series called the John Lyall Years, which starts in 1974 and covers his entire span as manager, and just done each season in sort of 20-minute segments, 15 to 20-minute segments, a bit like, if you remember, Match of the, what was it called? Match of the 80s and Match of the 70s, where you sort of interweave the football footage with news stories of the day, what was on at the cinema, what was on TV, and then put a soundtrack behind it of all the music from the time as well. So whatever was in the charts, or whatever sort of quirky pieces of music that I know that maybe some other people don't, that might sort of raise their profile a bit. But anyway, it's all contemporary stuff. And so it's proved to be pretty popular, but obviously it's got a limited audience because you're appealing to people who would remember that period. So people of my own sort of age, mid-50s. But as I've progressed, I'm now doing the Lumakari era, which although it only covers 7-8 months, obviously we've the available fan base, the available audience is significantly wider because there's so many more people around who remember that time. So the music's getting a little bit harder to find decent quality, but we've got Stone Roses, we've got Happy Mondays, so it's all good.
Yeah. No, I was watching that one of the Lumakari years. I think it was 1989, wasn't it? Late 80s.
Yeah,
which was
89 to 90.
Yeah, which is my time. The music was certainly my time. That music, I think I was at university up in Liverpool then, so lots of good memories. Right, we're going to get cracking. I'm going to talk to our fellow European champions here because you boys. Hey, look! Any European is a trophy.
Speaking of which, I got in the post today
little medal,
our medal, and a sort of commemorative thing. All season ticket holders got one of these, I believe. So it's not going to be worth anything, but
on eBay.
Yeah, but it's a nice gesture. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, no. I'm going to say, look, you are in one sort or some sorts a European champion. It's more than Arsenal won last season, more than most all London teams. I don't think they won anything last season. So you're the only ones who won any silverware. So on reflection, it's probably a reasonable season. How are you feeling as after winning the conference, the European Conference League, to win a trophy after a little while?
A little while, 43 years. Yeah, I mean, obviously, absolutely delighted, and I had forgotten how it. I mean, I was 11 when we won the FA Cup in 1980, which was the last major trophy.
Yeah.
And I remember it, but I don't remember that feeling. The feeling of thinking we're better than everyone else, even if it's only for 5 minutes or 5 days or whatever. That feeling of absolute euphoria. And I was lucky enough to get along to the victory parade afterwards, and the absolute sea of people there. I think people forget, because there's so many clubs in London. I think they think the fan bases are diluted a little bit, but there was close to close to 200,000 people out on the streets that afternoon, or so I'm told. And obviously the route stretched all the way from the old ground at the bowling at Upton Park all the way down to Stratford Town Hall, and the streets were absolutely packed. I think that's a reflection of how much it means to everybody more than anything else.
Yeah, it was a fantastic night for you guys, for English football. You know, us, let's say neutral fans watched the game. Most people wanted you to win, and you did yourselves proud. You did, you know, it was fantastic.
Yeah. It wasn't a pretty game, was it? But yeah.
I was going to say with Moises, sometimes they're not that pretty, but at the end of the day, you look back and you say, would you rather played fantastic attacking football and lost, or dragged it out and won? And I think most fans would take the latter. You mentioned the old stadium. Well, let's mention the new stadium. You've been there a few years now. Is it 10 years or something?
Yeah. Start of 2016-17 season. So
a bit less than that.
8 years.
Yeah. And you mugged off the taxpayers to get that stadium on the cheap. But hey, you know, you take what you can in this world.
Wasn't me personally. Yeah.
I'm not blaming you personally. But how are you guys? Are you finally taking to the new stadium?
Yeah. Well, we haven't got any choice. We either take to the new stadium or we play in a morgue. So it has taken a while.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of its location, it's actually better, I think, than the old ground. It's certainly better for me personally to get to and from. And now that we've been there a few years, there's a bit of a better infrastructure around there in terms of drinking and eating, and your pre-match rituals have settled down, and you know, it's that the whole match day experience is a much more enjoyable thing now that we're a bit organised. In terms of the actual stadium itself, still trying to come to terms with the sight lines and the distance from the pitch. What I would say about it is that the evening matches, the European games under the lights with the away support in there as well, the atmosphere is absolutely electric. And so those who say that there is no atmosphere in the new stadium, there can always be atmosphere if it's generated. So it's up to the fans to make that atmosphere. And certainly on those night games, which was always really more of the case at Upton Park, I felt better atmosphere on the evening games. But certainly these European nights we've had for the last 2 seasons have been absolutely the most memorable games we've had there since we moved.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you run the Europa Conference League. You're going to be in the Europa League. That's your prize for winning that trophy. How do you think you're going to do this season?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, isn't it? I mean, the group we've got is one of the better ones. Yeah. We've got a tiny little team from Serbia, Olympiacos and Freiburg. Those two won't be easy, but I think we've got enough to get us out of the group. Looking at the other teams that are in it, I think it's a much stronger competition than it was 2 years ago when we got to the semi-final. And it's ridiculous to say I'd be happy with a quarter-final, because you enter every competition hoping you're going to win it.
Yeah.
So obviously I hope we win it. I think the final's in Dublin this year, which would be quite a trip. But you know, you have to be realistic and see the quality of the teams that are in it already and the quality of the teams that are likely to drop out of the Champions League. Yeah. Means it would be. I mean, if he pulls this one off, I think there will be a statue outside.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, people seem to forget that you've got, last couple of seasons you've done pretty well in Europe, like you say. You got deep in the Europa League, won the Conference League. It's going to be another exciting season of European competition for you guys. We mentioned Moise. What's your opinions on Moise? Have they risen has he risen in your estimation over the last season?
Well, it's going to be difficult for him to rise in my estimation because I always liked him. I was when he came first of all to replace Slaven Bilic. We were in deep trouble, and he got us out of it. He moved Arnautovic out from the wing, played him centrally, stopped all the messing about at the back, and just got us organised. And that at that time, that was all that was needed to get us out of trouble. Brought in players like Thomas Souček, Jared Bowen. I think was already lined up by Pellegrini, but the players he's brought in, some more successful than others, but on the whole, they've been successful. Paquetá, and I'd like to think that the three that have come in this season look. I mean, Alvarez looks massive. He looks brilliant. Once he's fit, he's breathing through his arse at half time at the moment. But once he's fit, he'll be an absolute monster. And so I think he's got a good eye for a player. He keeps everything disciplined, which we're not used to at West Ham, to be fair. And I think this is the issue that a lot of fans have got with him, is that, you know, West Ham's always been more of an art form than a science. And, you know, the players have always been allowed to do pretty much what they want to do and just go out and express yourselves, enjoy yourselves, which is fine. But you can't afford to do that anymore. It's just, you know, the stakes are too high. And if we go down, like you said earlier, would you rather have played a fantastic game in the Europa League final and lost? There might be some diehards who'd say yes, but you know, at the end of the day, it's a results business, and he is getting results. So I didn't want him to leave. After the first spell. I think he was promised money to spend if he didn't spend money when he first came in, and then he was sold down the river. They brought Pellegrini in, which was all right for a year, and then, you know, he got found out, really, to be honest. And well, you might know more about that than me. When he came back in again, rescued us again, and what we've had 2 top 7 finishes and a trophy. When has that ever happened? Ever?
Got to be happy overall with that.
Yeah.
With what he's done. Let's have a look at some players then. Obviously, Declan Rice is gone. He's gone to Arsenal. I think he did well out of that. £100 million down from Arsenal, and 5 million in add-ons. Some might say, if you'd waited a bit in the transfer window, you might have got a bit more, because you got Caicedo going for 115 million, and it was quite ridiculous. Are you going to miss Declan Rice now that he's gone, and you've got a few new players in?
Well, I mean, we miss him in so much as he was a big part of our club for a long time, and although we took him from Chelsea halfway through his sort of youth career, you know, we think of him as one of our own. I think the last few games have shown that on the pitch we won't necessarily miss him.
Yeah.
And there's been a number of occasions in our history where we've had a player of his stature and his importance, and we've let them go, and with the proceeds invested wisely and brought in 2 or 3 players that actually make the overall squad stronger. And I think there was a danger of, if we'd held on to him, you know, the team being all about him, and not being able to afford to strengthen in other areas. And much as it hurts me to see him playing in an Arsenal shirt, and scoring winners for Arsenal, it really doesn't. You know, I've seen enough football to not be too upset about it, and I know that that's what footballers come and go.
Yeah.
So if you can get that sort of money for him, that's all well and good. And I think this time, they've spent it wisely. There have been occasions where it hasn't been invested properly, but I think from what I've seen so far, I'm happy.
Yeah. I mean, you've gone out and bought, I think, reasonably well. You got that Alvarez chap that you mentioned. He's basically a defensive midfielder, isn't he? You've got James Ward-Prowse, who started like a house on fire. You've got, I don't think we've seen him yet, Mohamed Kudus from Ajax.
He got 2 minutes against Luton, but
he looks interesting if you watch a bit of YouTube. And you've got the Greek centre-back.
Yeah.
I get my tongue ready. Konstantinos Mavropanos. How about that?
I'll take that.
Apparently, it's called Dino. I think that's. I don't know why Dino.
Yeah.
But I think you're probably looking at the three that I have heard of. You've done quite well this summer, and even though maybe your actual football on the pitch isn't as we lost you.
Oh.
It's all right. Even though your football on the pitch hasn't been, let's say, as expansive as some of you purists West Ham fans would like, you've been getting results. Even with that game against Brighton, I think you had 20% possession, but you got the 3 goals and you got the 3 points. Were you hoping? I mean, I was hoping that this would, if this was going to be the last season of Moyes, he'd go for it. He'd go out and play, go out with a bang and play some exciting football. He got these players in. And hey, if you do really well, maybe this could be the new David Moyes in his 60s playing expansive football. But it hasn't happened. But are you still in that boat that the results are worth a lot more at the moment than the performances, or would you prefer to play better and not get as many points?
At the end of the day, West Ham fans traditionally have, gone to watch their team to see good football. Unfortunately, in the last few years, that's mainly come from the opposition. You're not going to change David Moyes overnight. He's not going to suddenly, I don't know if he knows how to do it. I don't know if he can play that way, but he's got the players in the squad to do it. It's just a question of, I think he's hardwired to play the way he does, and he has promised us that as long as we are in a position to do so, the football will get better.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right way to do it, and sort of say, well, look, let's dig it out. Let's get a firm foundation. Let's get a decent number of points on the board, and then we'll try and do something a bit more expansive and free flowing. There's one thing that we should remember as well is that although maybe the football has been criticised, we had 3 nominations for Goal of the Month in August, and so although overall, yes, 20% possession, but the goals we've scored have been bloody good.
Yeah.
I think that's been overlooked a little bit. I think the games have been exciting, but maybe not for the reasons. Maybe exciting is the wrong word. There's been plenty of jeopardy. Let's put it that way. It's been edge of the seat stuff, normally because the opposition has the ball so much. But the feeling you get winning a game where the opposition has the ball so much is almost as enjoyable for me as winning it with 80% possession and passing them off the pitch. So I don't have a problem with it as long as it doesn't backfire and we haven't got a plan B.
Yeah, I think the issue most fans have, you're right, we do like a bit of smash and grab, but if there's no smash and no grab and it's a tough watch and then you lose 1-0 or something, you think, well, why didn't we go for it? Why did we just let this happen? That's always going to be a worry, I guess, especially when you play a team like Man City, that you're going to sit back so much. City very seldom, not very seldom, but seldom don't create chances and don't score goals. And I've said for the last few seasons, if you sit back hoping just to hit us on the break and waiting for a mistake, most teams, that's a recipe to lose. Most teams lose like that. So why don't you? The teams that sometimes have done well are the teams that have gone for it, put us under pressure, and not just try to hit us on the break, but closed us down and been very tight. How do you see the game going tomorrow? Are you going to? Do you think it's just going to go back into the 20-25% possession is enough if we can keep it tight? Don't let City score and try and nick one on the break or on a free kick or a corner.
Yeah, I can't see us trying to go for it tomorrow. And if you play that sort of game, I think you're just as likely to get murdered as if you sit back. So it's a little bit heads you win, tails we lose, playing City. What we've got to hope for is that 9 of your players at least have an off day, and maybe Haaland tweaks a calf or something in the first 10 minutes.
We never talk about players getting injured, but actually you're in a good side because Grealish is out injured, Stones is out injured, and Kovacic is out injured. So you might just see Calvin playing. Calvin Phillips.
Okay, a player we were strongly linked with in the summer, and I wouldn't have been entirely against the prospect of him joining.
I was thinking, well, he didn't want to move, but he's probably, I guess, looking at it. It's nothing against West Ham, but he's looking at it City. He said he wants to fight for his place, and he was injured last season, and he wants to show people what he can do. But also, he won three easy trophies because he didn't feature that much, and he got 3 trophies. And it might just be another good year, get your trophies, and then go off and play football, knowing that you got some stuff in the bag. And when you're old, no one's going to care that you didn't actually feature that much. But I thought, as a part of the Paquetá deal, that would have been good for you guys. So I think you're going to have a bit more of a chance than, let's say, you normally would, because with those injuries that we've got, I think that's going to be obviously in your favour. We're going to have to fiddle around a bit because Kovacic has been ever present since the start of the season. Stones is one of our best defenders, and even though Grealish hasn't played much, he can be exciting at times. Yeah. Do you rate your chances of basically getting a shutout, either nicking one on the break or no? You think we'll score?
Well, I was talking to a colleague at work earlier, and I said, if we're going to get anything out of the game at all, we're going to have to score at least 2 goals. So I'm saying if we're going to get a draw, it's going to be 2-2 minimum. I can't see us keep. Well, we haven't kept a clean sheet all season, so why would we against Man City? And just the way we play, the opposition will always have chances.
Yeah.
And I feel that you guys are clinical enough to take them. The question will be, are we going to remain as clinical as we've been in front of goal? Is James Ward-Prowse's delivery going to be as telling as it has been?
Yeah.
I think we will have chances. It's purely a question of whether we take them.
Yeah. No, I mean, you've got 9 goals this season. It's in 4 league games, so you've got a decent return. You scored in every game. It's not as if you've quiet or anything. And
I see us scoring. Just whether we get enough.
Yeah, I think you'll score. I've got. I'll do my score prediction in a minute, but I think you'll score. And I think you'll end up with a decent season. It really does depend on, I think, obviously it's going to depend how you start the season. It depends what you do against City. It's not going to be the end tomorrow. What happens against City is what basically you're going to do it against everybody else. And how you cope, I think, with the Europa League and the league. You're going to, I think you've probably got a deeper squad now that you got these new players in?
I think it was one of the keys to Moyes' success last season and the season before was that he managed the squad well, and there was never any hangover on a Sunday from a Thursday game.
Yeah.
And in previous European campaigns, and we haven't had that many, but we have very often had a poor result following a European game. Whereas last year we had a poor result every week, so you didn't notice the difference. No, in terms of performance level, you wouldn't have known that we'd had a long trip in midweek. So I think he manages things quite well in that respect.
I'm just looking at your run of games before we ask for a score prediction. I mean, it's a bit mixed bag in the league. You've obviously got City. Then I don't know who these are. Baka, Topola. You're playing them.
Yeah, they're the Serbians. Yeah.
Serbians. Then you got away to Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
Don't see you getting anything there. You got an interesting EFL Cup game against Lincoln away. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be easy, but that's, I think, a trophy you should be targeting. And then you hopefully a winnable game at home to Sheffield United, away to Freiburg, and then potentially what look like a bit tougher games against Newcastle and Aston Villa. So I think we'll know by let's say the end of October what the season's going to be like. I can't see you struggling. Do you see yourself struggling at all? Do you think you're going to fall off a cliff?
No, I think it depends what you mean. I don't see us being relegation in a relegation fight this year. Having said that, that could just be because there's going to be 3-4 teams in the league this year that are really not very good. But I don't see us struggling like we did last year. I can't see us being there or thereabouts in the bottom 5, bottom 6. Having said that, it's always so tight, isn't it? It's always just like 1 or 2 wins between 5th from bottom and 13th or something. So, but I'd like to think we'll be top half this year. I really do.
I think you're going to be at least mid-table. I mean, look, Burnley sat there with 0 points, I think. Was it Luton have got 0 points? Was it Sheffield United have got, 1 point? Everton have got 1 point.
Yeah.
And if you don't finish above 3 of those, something's got to be wrong with the season.
Exactly.
They look awful. I mean, I think you can give them 10 games, they won't have 10 points. I can't see.
No, I mean, the fact that we're already 9 points ahead of 4 teams at the bottom makes me feel reasonably comfortable.
Might as well be 10 points ahead with that goal difference, that lovely goal difference they haven't. So I think you'll be all right. I'm going to just move on to the final question then, Robert. Just get a score prediction from you.
Okay. My heart says a 2-2 draw, Bowen and Antonio.
Wow. Well, obviously I'm going to back City. We've got a pretty decent record, I think, at your place. You haven't beaten us in the league for a while, going back about 7 or 8 years now. I'm going to go 3-1 to City. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I just think you're used to scoring goals at the moment, and you'll have some chances. It might be on the break. City are vulnerable on the break. All this hoo-ha about Kyle Walker, and he's so brilliant and everything else. He has got a rick in him. He loses focus a bit. And I just think I can see you scoring on the break. I don't know, maybe Bowen again, but I can just see you hitting us once or twice on the break and causing a lot of trouble. But I just think the control we're going to have in the game, 70-80% possession, I reckon, it's just going to give us opportunities. It's very hard for teams to defend for basically all the game and not give up chances when you've got people like, I don't know who's going to start tomorrow, but it could, you've got Haaland, Alvarez, Foden. I think they're going to cause trouble.
Yeah, this is what I was saying. We're going to need at least 2 goals to get anything out of the game, and I might be being a little bit optimistic there.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully, it's a good game, and you know, as I said, top of the table clash. It's nice, I guess, for without taking it the strong way, but it's nice for you guys to be up there this stage of the season and having that top of the table clash. And it's you know, the two champions of Europe, or English champions of Europe, going head to head. It's nice. Like I say, Rob, thanks very much for popping along and having a chat with us today. It's been
welcome.
Good. And guys, if you get a chance, go and check out Rob's channel. Do you want to just shout your name out for the channel again, Rob?
Yeah, it's Robert Banks. If you look up my name, Robert Banks, or the John Lyle Years on YouTube, you'll find it.
Yeah, John Lyle Years. And if you're my vintage, the Lou Macari years are quite good as well for the music. That was my time, and I think some of the fellas on the channel, it was their time. But Bernard would love the John Lyle years. But Rob, thanks so much, and best of luck tomorrow. Best of luck for the rest of the season, and hopefully we'll have a chat another time.
Look forward to it.